Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Before we get started, I know we've talked about it endlessly in our pre-show, but this is the real show. Happy birthday, man. Hopefully you had a good one.
Yeah, it was low-key. It was mellow. It was nice.
We're in our 40s now. That's kind of what we do, you know?
Well into it,
It's like, let's go. Because my sister, we celebrated my sister's birthday. Hers is a couple days before yours. And we celebrated that on whatever, Sunday or Saturday. Saturday, I guess. And it was the same thing. Like, she's 40, she's 47 now. My sister's hella
sounds
old.
Right. Yeah.
And so we went to my parents' house and just had pizza. That was it.
Yeah.
That's what you do in your 40s.
Yeah.
You know.
Mellow.
Chill. Anyways, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about AEW Rampage. We're going to be talking about WWE Smackdown with the killer Fatal 5-Way and possibly segment of the year starring Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn.
Pretty good.
And a certain Slapnuts is departing his current place of employ, which happens to be WWE. But first, the CM Punk drama is not letting up, Larson. Everybody's talking about CM Punk. Are they working the marks? Is this the real deal? Is he going to show up on Wednesday? The wrestling world has reacted, and why not? Let's just keep on talking about this CM Punk stuff, Larson, because it looks good on a thumbnail.
It does. It does. So, of course, following the news late last week about Punk and Hangman Page apparently having some serious heat.
Oh, heat.
With each other. Many in the wrestling world have shared their 2 cents on the situation. The latest Busted Open Radio, someone who knows heat.
Oh, this guy's all about
Bully Ray talked about Punk, Page, their beef. This is what he had to say. These transcripts come from Wrestling Inc. Quote. That's what Bully Ray had to say. This is up to Tony Khan now. He holds the pencil. What's the important part of the pencil, according to Tony Khan?
Oh, the eraser.
Is it the eraser?
The eraser, yeah, absolutely.
Bully Ray continues. It's up to him to get these people in the room and first and foremost help to iron out every difference and set the record straight and go, guys, we're doing business here. Our business is in the best interest of anybody, not just one person. We can't go into business for ourselves. If a similar situation like this goes down in WWE, you get sat down quickly. It's very easy to fix this crack as ownership. As top guy, you sit everybody down. Maybe this goes down to a senior member of the locker room. On his podcast, the Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T offered up his perspective. These transcripts, also from Wrestling Inc. I'll handle this first paragraph. There's a lot here.
No, these first two sentences echo our sentiments exactly.
Yeah, this is great. So he says, Booker T says, have you seen Christian's promos lately? You're supposed to go in on somebody if you're in a program with them. But it's not the same thing with Punk calling out Page. The guy wasn't even in the building, and you're just going to talk about him and make him look like a piece of crap? For what reason? That's the question. Was it for the betterment of the show, or was it to create this controversy we're talking about now? CM Punk is in a leadership position, and that, more so than anything, has to be displayed. Leadership, because you're the guy everyone is looking to make this thing work. You're the one they paid the big money to. So when you're in that position, you're in a position of leadership. And me personally, I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But I think Tony Khan has to step up. I think CM Punk needs to step up too as a leader and a general for that company. CM Punk is in a very unique position to where people are looking towards him to make sure they win. Again, I could be wrong. Steve, take over.
No, so you want me to keep on reading Booker T?
Unless you want. Well,
let's just pause there for a second, because there's a lot more here that we can get into. First off, Bully Ray's comments that Tony Khan. This is exactly what you said last time. Tony Khan needs to sit everybody down, and maybe he's done this by now. I don't know. We're just talking about this because Dynamite's in 2 days, and you'd like to think that at this point Tony Khan would have sat everybody down and said, "Okay, we've got this situation. Let's make some money off it."
You got the situation. Let's make sure cooler heads prevail and we can go forward in a professional manner. It's not that. It's let's go forward and let's exploit this real life drama and make money off it.
Well, here's the thing though. In order to make money off it, you have to do that. Because you
ideally,
can't just have
first you would do
people
that, yes.
running their mouths because
No.
and then Paige doesn't respond. You can't have that. The idea that I like the thing that I like here is that Booker T is saying, CM Punk's in a leadership position. Bully Ray saying, hey, a leadership position guy needs to step up and take care of this. Tony Khan should just send CM Punk to the locker room and say, all right, Punk, go handle this.
I know. He said, hey, Punk, go talk to Punk about this.
Yeah, exactly. Go talk to Paige. Go set Paige right, Punk.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So anyways, Booker T continues. I know CM Punk was brought into that company for one reason and one reason only, to pop the crowd, pop the rating, and make people look at this thing from a legitimate perspective. I think Punk has done that 100%. But there are a lot of young guys in that roster looking at CM Punk for leadership. And the thing is, when you're in that position, you have to be very selfish in this business. It's a very, very selfish business, and I agree with that. Everything that we're hearing in the news right now and on social media, I'm not surprised. Now we see that this isn't about wrestling. It's about Punk being in the right situation. Certain guys coming in receiving certain treatment and certain guys that have been there receiving certain treatment, that's where the rift is going to come in, just like it did in WCW. There's definitely going to have to be some intervention because right now I feel like AEW is off track. I think they're like a politician and they're off message right now. That's a really, coming from a guy who saw everything go down in WCW.
Yeah.
I mean, the most famously, Scott Steiner goes out there. I think he's supposed to be in a program with like DDP, and he starts cutting a promo on Ric Flair being a butt sucker. And granted, it was amazing entertainment, but that's kind of not, that's being remembered for the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that kind of situation can get really messy, especially when your top guy is the guy going out there and just in the most cringeworthy way calling out a guy who's not even there. Then it's like, okay, can they turn around? I sort of went from from A to Z, but yes, you're right. Cooler heads need to sit down and talk it out. But then ideally you turn around and you make something out of it. At this point, do you think Tony Khan should somehow insert, assuming he can get everybody sat down and say, hey, look, we all need to chill out here.
Yeah.
Should you then, to make good on what just happened, insert Hangman Page into this somehow, some way?
I mean, I suppose you could, because what you could do, there's one of two things you could do. You could either have, again, assuming cooler heads have prevailed, they've talked this out. They could either have Paige more or less cost Punk the title on Wednesday, and then you can set up a triple threat at All Out, or you just find another way to set up a triple threat at All Out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if even if they manage to talk things out, I would kind of think that this is all a little too new to go right into another Punk Page program.
Right.
So if they want to bring Page into it, I kind of feel like it more likely be a triple threat, at least at first. And if they want to, roll with Punk and Page after that, give it a little bit of time and have them do their own thing. But I don't know, if now that Kenny's back, Young Bucks in the trio tournament, Page has said he's going to be Dark Order's cheerleader, more or less. Well, is that going to change because they want to build to they've already put in the steps to build to a story with Page and Kenny and the Young Bucks? Yeah. I don't know. And if that's already kind of booked, and that's the plan, then there really is no place for Page to get involved in the Punk Box thing. You got to
stick with that, yeah.
And even if they've managed to find a way to work things out, at least backstage, that doesn't mean that anybody, whether it be Page or Punk, would be in any way inclined to want to work together in the near future.
Yeah. No, I agree. As my dog goes off and my door is open for some reason. I agree. I mean, clearly they've got. I mean, look, you got to have. Although it's silly that we're sort of questioning this. I mean, one thing that I've always said about AEW, and I preface this by saying I like a lot of what they do. Every week, especially on Dynamite these days, and seemingly on Dark and Elevation with some of these multi-woman tag matches they've got. But every week you can be counted on for some of the best matches on television. You can be counted on for that, and that goes a long way. In tag and in the men's division. Women's division, we got a fantastic Athena match on Rampage, which I'm really happy with. We had a really good Toni Storm match. I wish that they would do stories, but I'm a broken record at this point.
No, but like I said last time, it bears repeating often because that's the only way anything is going to change.
But what I was saying, I was taking the long road to get there. But with AEW, you can be counted on for good matches. But one thing they've always had a problem with is the pacing of their stories. Like, either they speed run things. Like, dude, you could have milked Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk for like 2 pay-per-view cycles.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's one, like, and I know they only do 4 pay-per-views a year, but when I say pay-per-view cycles, I guess I mean like months. You could have milked that for like 3 months as opposed to like the 2 or 3 week build that they had leading into the pay-per-view. You take that, there's still a lot you can do with that. You take that on for another, month and a half or so until the next, like, big event they've got on Dynamite. And you take it all the way there. There was so much you can mine. They either speed run things or they take the really long route. Like, you've got, House of Black versus Fuego and crew for like, 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of thing. Like, the pacing really needs to get there. That's why I think like Hangman Page had that 2-year story. He was champion. Not a lot happened there. And then he dropped the title, and then he's sort of doing a lot of nothing after that.
I know. Like I know Page's story had a bit of a hiccup, had a bit of a pause because he went on paternity leave. He had a kid.
Yeah.
But outside of that, maybe if that prolonged the story a little bit by a pay-per-view cycle, I think apart from that was actually paced pretty well.
Yeah,
I thought the story with Paige showing up, saying I'm gonna be first champion, failing with that, getting the tag titles with Kenny, their team falls apart, and eventually he gets the title. I thought by and large that was paced pretty darn well. They hit all the beats they had to. I didn't feel like they missed anything.
Yeah.
But that's kind of an outlier with a lot of stuff because you mentioned there's stories where it seems like they're lasting like 3-4 months too long. There's stories where it seems like it's 3 or 4 months not long enough.
There needs to be, and I know I'm sort of steering this off topic, and I apologize, but there does need to be, and this is sort of coming back around to the CM Punk stuff. I feel like there needs to be, and I can be pithy about it and say shiny new toys, but there does need to be some follow up and some commitment to some of the characters that sometimes I feel like we don't see in AEW. And some follow through there.
Definitely.
And but no, it's interesting to hear perspective from the other names in the wrestling media sphere, Booker T and Bully Ray, because Booker T he's seen a lot, Bully Ray has seen a lot.
Yeah, they've both seen a lot. Yeah,
so that's kind of interesting stuff. I mean, the one thing that I'm pretty sure of, even though I've seen it endlessly in the comments of Wrestle Juice, hear it going in Raw, Friendo Club TV, whatever. Is I love when people are getting worked, and I think that they're gonna turn into a way to address it on Wednesday, and I don't know if it's gonna feed more into like Punk's seeming heel turn. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But a lot of people are gonna be watching, and hopefully they make the most of it. But more importantly, they if there are issues in the locker room, they got to get that figured out.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Because you can't be a successful company in a company that's looking to build when there's seemingly dysfunction happening backstage. It just ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen.
Have them hug it out, man. Have them do the side hug it out.
There we go.
The bury the head in the chest, hug it out. Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Hey, Larson.
Yes, Steve.
You're a shoe guy. So let me ask you this question.
All right.
How well would you take care of your shoes if you had to keep the same pair for the rest of your life?
Same pair for the rest of my life?
Yep.
Oh, man, I'd probably take really good care of them. I'd clean them. I probably wouldn't wear them every day. I would let them, rest up, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
If they've been worn a lot, I would take really good care of them.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Yet we only get one brain, and a lot of us don't treat it with that same level of care. See, how we care for our brains and minds can affect how we experience life. So it's important to take the time and care necessary to keep them healthy. And there are plenty of ways you can support your brain health. You could learn a new language, or do what I do and take a lot of power naps. Or you could try BetterHelp online therapy.
There was a period in my life where I was dealing with severe anxiety and I had to look for some help. So I've been through the process of trying to find a therapist. I know how difficult it can be to find the right person to talk to. But BetterHelp Online Therapy makes that process much more convenient by offering video, phone, and even live chat therapy sessions.
BetterHelp can get you matched up with a therapist in less than 48 hours, and it's much more affordable than in-person therapy. And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Let's talk about this. So back in May, which wasn't that long ago, 3 months, if my math is correct, Jeff Jarrett, Ain't He Great, rejoined WWE as Senior Vice President of Live Events.
Mm-hmm.
But now, PW Insider reports that the WWE Hall of Famer is gone.
Oh, no.
Gone. He lost all his stroke, apparently. Gone.
No more stroke.
That's what they had to say. WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett departed his position as Senior Vice President of Live Events with World Wrestling Entertainment last week. The belief among some is he finished his official duties this past Friday, but I can't 100% confirm that timeline with changes from the Vince McMahon regime to the current one headed by Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, Stephanie McMahon. One has to wonder if there was a cause and effect here, but nothing has been confirmed to PW Insider as of this writing beyond that Jarrett departed WWE.
Well, maybe he can show up in AAA and cut more promos that make me squirm a little bit. No, you know what? I thought that he did as good a job as possible in Ric Flair's last match. I mean, that's the only thing I've got to go off. I have no idea how good he was at his job as director of live events.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, you know, there was obviously a pretty massive change of the guard up top in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, hopefully Jeff Jarrett, man, he's always found a role in the world of professional wrestling. So
that he has.
I'm sure he will continue to do that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he will too. You know, hey, maybe he'll come back to GCW.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe he'll go to AEW. Maybe he's the locker room leader that AEW needs. You know,
I mean, I guess that could be a thing.
I mean, I don't know. As far as like a talent relations guy, you think that, you know, Jeff Jarrett walks up to CM Punk, you know, slaps him with a tortilla and says, "Come on, slap nuts, get your shit together. Why are you calling out people you're not in a program with?" What a weirdo. Anyways, let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown 1200, celebrated by all of us, including Drew McIntyre, wearing a SmackDown 1200 shirt in his big face-to-face against Roman Reigns.
My favorite is when Bayley and Io and Dakota sat in the crowd, and they go to commercial to come back, and Io's got the SmackDown 1200 shirt, and she's just kind of waving it towards the camera. That was great.
Oh, man, big deal. 1,200 episodes.
Oh, a landmark episode.
A landmark episode. You think they're going to do 1250 also? About a year from now? They should.
1275, 1325.
Yeah, man. We're on the road to Clash at the Castle. We had a big fatal five-way that was wildly fun. Yeah. And what a fucking crowd that was.
That was a great crowd.
That was
awesome crowd.
An awesome crowd, and they were given some really good stuff to work with, including, of course, Sami Zayn. And, man, that whole segment with him and Roman Reigns.
Oh, wow.
Had me grinning from ear to ear, anxious that Sami was just fucking it up. And I have no idea what Roman's ulterior motive really is, but he seemed to sort of show his hand a little bit with him saying, "Hey, tell Kevin Owens." You know. Yeah. But I thought it was great. Roman had nobody else, so he was like, "Hey, bring Sami in here."
I know. It was really well done. It was really well done.
Yeah. What else stood out to you on SmackDown?
Again, another week goes by. Another week where they finally it's pretty clear they know how to book, or Triple H knows how to book Ronda Rousey. Yeah. So she's not boring, and she doesn't seem bored.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know, you have her talk little bits. She seems into what she's doing. And it works way better than what she was doing in the build to WrestleMania and up until the point pretty much where Triple H took over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it works. It works a lot better.
Yeah.
It works a heck of a lot better. That five-way number one contender for the Intercontinental title match was a lot of fun. Really fun bout. I mean, I didn't think there was really a weak segment on the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was good. I actually really liked, you know what? One thing that I really love about it is you can tell that they're putting pieces in place because you've got Karrion Kross out there and he's targeting Drew and he's got his motivations. You know, Drew, you're supposed to be the chosen one and they replace you with somebody else. And I love that. And so you're kind of unsure. It's like, okay, so what is he getting at here? Like, what's the deal here? But it was a really wonderfully done video package with Cross and Scarlett. I thought was really, really good. The Sammy stuff and the match, the Fatal 5-Way there, where the crowd was just going crazy for Sammy, and then he ends up losing it because Sheamus versus Gunther. Look, Sammy versus Gunther, I think that's going to be, if they ever pull the trigger on that match, that's going to be phenomenal. But at Clash of the Castle in the UK there, you got to have Gunther and Sheamus. That they are just going to beat the living shit out of each other.
Oh, they are going to annihilate each other. It's going to be great. For
the past couple of years, Sheamus has absolutely been a stellar wrestling machine. He's been doing some phenomenal work.
Yeah, he has.
And he was popping the crowd big time, just grabbing people and doing the
10 beats.
Yeah. I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I thought SmackDown was just a lot of fun this week.
Yeah, it was. I guess we can jump into it. So commentaries there, they're talking about SmackDown 1,200, 1,200, and then Ronda. The camera is just on commentary, and Ronda just walks in front of him.
Yeah.
That's how she's introduced to the show.
Yeah.
Then she gets in the ring, and she says, last week, I paid my fine, and so tonight, I'm not leaving the ring until I'm reinstated. Pierce, come out here and lift my suspension. No Pierce, of course. So she says, I'm not leaving. The show doesn't start until I get what I want. So Pierce eventually walks out to the ramp. She says, calm down. I can't lift your suspension just because you want me to. That kind of authority is above my pay grade. I understand you're upset. I understand also that you can't just hijack the show to get what you want, so please leave the ring peacefully. So Ronda says, last week I chose to leave peacefully. Thank you for correcting that. So she says, tonight don't make me choose violence. And so Pierce is like, all right, well, he sends out security. She takes him out. Oops. More security comes to the ring. She lays them all out too. She's about to put an arm bar in one of them. And Pierce is pleading with her, don't do it. She does it anyway. So Pierce waves out some cops. And so the crowd starts chanting at Ronda, break their arms.
Yeah.
Break their arms. So Ronda instead offers up her wrists. They cuff her up, escort her out, put her in the cop car. That cop car drives off, and as it drives off, an SUV pulls in. Out exits Roman Reigns.
It's all just a moving thing, man.
It's one cohesive universe.
Yeah, it's great. So earlier in the day, it was announced by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, that Zoe Stark, so Nikita Lyons was medically not available or not. I don't think it was not cleared. It was medically something. And then Zoe Stark also had some medical issues, so she couldn't make it there. So they were replaced by an actual tag team from NXT, Toxic Attraction. And they took on Natalya and Sonya Deville and Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Took seats awesome. Behind commentary, and Michael Cole just said, hi, Bayley. Hi. Hey, Cole!
You could just hear him go, ugh, the whole time.
Oh, man, this was great. They were an absolute delight. Like you said, Io had the SmackDown 1200 shirt. She was waving for the crowd.
Waving in front of the camera. It was great.
This is really good stuff. So, kind of surprisingly, Toxic Attraction pulled out the win here, man, over Sonya and Natalya. I was kind of surprised. I was pleasantly surprised about that. I was happy to see Toxic Attraction move on in the tournament here to get the win.
Yeah, same. Afterward, nope, that was the finish. Never mind. JC rolls up and Natalya get the win. I thought there was something that happened after the match. It did not. Instead, let's go to the Sami Zayn segment. So he's walking backstage. He walks up to Roman's locker room. There's a security guard outside. The security guard tells Sami, Roman wants to see you. And Sami's like, whoa.
What?
I'm pleasantly surprised by this, but still kind of hesitant. So he knocks on the door and really meekly opens it. And Roman's all, hey, come on in. Take a seat.
Take a seat.
So Sami does, and Roman's like, hey, how's everything going? And Sami goes, good. You know, I've been out there repping the bloodline, but it has been a bit dicey of late. I feel like I keep getting into it with Jay. He keeps yelling at me, telling me I need to level up. Jay's acting like I'm not carrying my weight around here, which is pretty annoying considering that last week he was about to hit with the Claymore from Drew, and I pushed Jay out of the way. I took the Claymore for him for the bloodline. But he says No, he says, but Jay, did he send me a text or give me a call? No, he's ungrateful.
And he stops there and he sort of realizes that, number one, he's talking too much, and number two, did he just overstep by calling an Uso ungrateful? And so Roman sort of takes a beat and he says, you know what? You're right. Jay doesn't appreciate anyone. He's like, he's my blood and I love him, but He says, why are you talking to him? You should be talking to Jimmy. You should be talking to me. And Sammy's like, yes, you're right. I should be talking to you guys. Like, Jimmy's a sweetheart. So he says, hey, give me a second. I'll be right back. He leaves. And then Roman's phone, which he left there, rings. It's Jay's big ass face on the screen there. And he's like, so it's Jay. And then Roman says, go ahead and answer it. And Sammy does. And he's like, hey, Roman Reigns' phone. And he's like, yeah, it's me, Sammy. And then Jay just starts yelling at him on the other side. He's like, why are you yelling? And he says, Roman told me to answer it. He says, if I'm being honest, now's not a good time. So he hangs up on Jay. And he's like, hey, Jay says they had trouble at the border. I don't think they're going to be here. And Roman's like, oh, that's not good. And so Sammy says, well, I'm here. I'm going to be in a 5-way #1 contender match for that IC title. I'm hoping to win that. And Roman's like, oh, yeah, the IC title. That'll look good in the bloodline. And Sammy says, I'll be the one to take care of it. Let me go get warmed up. He said, we should do this more often. And Roman's like, yeah. He's like, hey, let me ask you something. He's like, are you still cool with Kevin Owens? He's like, oh, yeah, we go back forever. And he says, well, can you let Kevin Owens know? I don't owe anyone anything, ever. And he's like, oh, well, we haven't talked in a while, though. We're not really all that close anymore. He's like, but I'll let him know. And Roman wishes him good luck.
I love that Roman, at the end, he says, hey, good luck out there. And Roman goes, hey, guess what? And Sammy goes, what? And Roman just goes, good luck. With like the hugest smile on his face.
Oh, this was because you're on edge. You're like, Sammy, you're fucking this up just by being you. But it all turns out okay.
And you see Roman turn on the charm.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah. Master manipulator right there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the next out in the ring, we have a Maximum Male Models promo. That's interrupted pretty quickly. Basically immediately by Hit Row. So Max Dupree says Maximum Male Models, they had a scheduled appearance here in the ring. And I'm going to cut to the chase. He says, neither you, Top Dollar, or Ashanti, are Maximum Male Model material. So then Hit Row take out Masse, Mansois, and then they have an in-ring performance.
Yeah,
musical performance.
They do a whole song talking about their back. And at one point, Maxine Dupree looks interested in going back to the ring and watching.
Yeah, she's on the stage dancing.
Yeah, that's right. And then Max is not too happy about that.
No.
Yeah. After that, we had that Karrion Kross Scarlet video package. He says, something I said upset Drew on Raw. He says, which begs the question, why? He says, because he talks about, being the chosen one. And and Drew, going on about that on Raw. He says, whether Drew wants to be or not, he's a chosen one, just like Reigns is. He says, doesn't matter what you've ever done or what you're going to do. That's what you are. He says, but really, what really bothers Drew is that when he failed, they chose someone else to build the table that Drew failed to set. He says they chose Drew and they were wrong. They chose Drew, and deep down inside he knows that they are wrong. And he starts yelling. He's like, they're wrong. They're wrong. Yeah. They chose you. They're wrong. And it just gets more and more violent. Shots of him ramming Drew's head into the stairs. It's a really, really well done video package.
Yeah, it is really well done. So far in, 3 weeks, they've done a heck of a job of building up Karrion Kross.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got the 5-way Intercontinental title #1 contender match. This match was tons of fun. You knew it was going to be good stuff because early on Michael Cole mentions El Generico.
Man, did you ever think you'd hear that on TV?
Next thing, we need a brain buster on the top turnbuckle.
Oh, yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
That's what I want to see.
Clash at the Castle will get one of those.
There we go. So you mentioned Sheamus hitting everybody with 10 beats. He's trying to do that on Sammy. Instead, Sammy sends Sheamus to the floor. Low bridges Corbin out of the ring. Hits him with a massive tope. He looks for a blue thunderbomb on Ricochet. Ricochet blocks that. Instead, Sammy hits the Mission No Coup driver that gets him 2. Eventually, Sheamus hits Sammy with an air raid crash off the second rope. And Sammy sells shoulder, which is great because it was his debut in Montreal, I believe, where he hurt his shoulder.
Yeah.
I think it was the same shoulder he was selling too, but I could be wrong about that. Anyways, he's up to the back by refs. SmackDown rolls on. Eventually, Corbin's looking for end of days on Ricochet. Ricochet escapes that. Low bridges Corbin out of the ring. Sammy comes back to the ring. Hits Ricochet with an exploder, a haluva kick, covers. Corbin pulls Sammy out of the ring.
Right at like 2.9.
Yeah.
That crowd thought it was done. And the TV direction was really good because you did not see Corbin. You're like, oh, man, they're going to do this. And he pulls him off, and everybody's just devastated. The crowd was so into this. They were so into Sammy. And the way they booked this, it was his to win. And it was great. It just, man, even though it's like, oh, yeah, hometown guy loses, WWE, lol, Vince does his thing, this just felt different, you know? It was like, hey, they're really drumming up some actual, like, sympathy for Sami Zayn as he's maneuvering these waters in the background with the bloodline. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing where his story goes. But, yeah, in the end.
It wasn't hometown wrestler loses for heat's sake alone, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
There was a story involved in it, and Sammy got tons of opportunity to shine. So it wasn't like it was, you know, like, hey, you're in front of your hometown, you're going to lose. Probably the most embarrassing fashion possible.
And for the live crowd, they did a thing with Kevin Owens and Sammy at the end where they got to embrace in the ring. I'm pretty sure that was that
That's
night.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So the finish saw Corbin looking for an end of days on Ricochet. As he's about to get Ricochet up, Sheamus hits Corbin with a bro kick to get the win. He will be facing Walter.
That's going to be a killer match. Did you see
beat the hell out of each other?
You see Kevin Owens' tweet today. He's going back to the old Kevin Owens shirt because they put it back up in WWE shop with the duct tape.
Oh, that's great. That's a great shirt.
Oh, it's an amazing shirt. It's fantastic.
I still have mine somewhere, I think.
It's a beautiful shirt.
It's a great shirt.
After that, this was a lot less cheesy than I thought it was going to be because you hear Viking Raiders' funeral for the New Day. It was really, really well filmed. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a Viking Raiders funeral for the New Day. But like, I feel like if it was a Vince thing, it would have been played strictly for comedy. And the way they did it here, it was filmed cinematically. I thought this was as good as it could have been.
Yeah, it was. It was still a little goofy to have the funeral pyre, but with the box of Booty-O's. And
once the Booty-O showed up, I was like, oh, okay. Well, that just sort of took me out of it. But leading up to that, I was like, hey, this is filmed nicely.
So the Viking Raiders have a long spiel about hey, we're gathered to celebrate our battles with a new day, prepared for what comes next. Essentially, New Day's time has passed. It's their time now.
Yeah.
And then they light that funeral pyre, and it's just got a bunch of New Day merch.
Hey, by the way, quick pause here. Cultaholic just rated us with a party of 38. What's up, everybody?
Thank you so much.
We're talking about Smackdown.
We are.
Yeah. Anyways.
We are.
Where are we?
After that, we had Liv Morgan versus Shotzi. Before the match began, Shotzi had an interview, and this was great. So she says, I'm going to rip Liv's arm from her socket, or maybe I'll drive my knee into her elbow till she needs a robot arm. That was great. She says Liv is overly emotional. She thinks with her big, dumb heart, and that's why she's trying to prove herself while she's injured. Taking a match with me is a bad decision. It's one I'm going to make her regret.
Yep.
That was great. Any reference to a robot arm, and I'll pop.
Oh, remember when Samoa Joe had a robot arm? I think it was like 2K19's career mode, 2K20's career mode. Because it was like the one thing in 2K20 that was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Somebody's got a robot arm and it's Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
That's neat. Anyways, of course, during this match, Shotzi is just targeting Liv's arm the entire time. Liv ends up getting the win here with her finish. Was it called Oblivion? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
And then Shayna hits the ring. This was great, man.
This was awesome.
Shayna is just back to being NXT Shayna. Just fucking wrecks Liv. Dexter falls with a knee, twists her arm. She's about to stomp on it. She leans in, says, I want to break your arm so bad, but I'm going to wait and do it in Cardiff. She's like, so I can break your arm and take your title. And then she acts like she's going to break the arm, but then she just stomps her face instead.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh, man, it was awesome, man. I think this is going to be a killer match. I'm really rooting for Shayna here, but I get the feeling they're going to do the babyface win for Liv.
Yeah, I would think so, because I imagine they're going to have another Ronda Liv match at some point. Then we get our main event segment, Roman and Drew face-to-face. So Roman comes to the ring first, tells Montreal, acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me.
Says, here's the deal. I'm not here every week, so every once in a while people are going to come out and say something stupid. He says, if anybody comes out here and says they're the face of the company, that's not him, they're lying. If anyone comes out and says they're the main event, not a main eventer, the main event, and it's not me, they're lying. If anyone comes out and says they carry this company on their back, then Drew, you're lying. He says there's only one man who can say they're the face of the company, the main event, and carries this company on their back, and it's me, Tribal Chief. He says, I told you, I'm a man of my word, and what I say has substance. So I don't have anything to say to Drew because he's beneath me. So this brings Drew out. He comes to the ring. Says, I would have loved to have said everything I said prior to your face, but you're not here very often. So now that you are, I'll get right to it. Roman, you don't represent the titles in a way they deserve to be representative, and you don't deserve to be champ. And then Drew explains why. He says, you have Heyman working for you politically, the Usos working for you physically, taking bullets for you. But when they're all together, yeah, bloodline, no one can take them down. But you're just a man. And right now, I see something different in your eyes when it's just you and me one-on-one. I see fear. I see concern. And Roman, you should be scared because there isn't a man alive that I can't tear apart with my bare hands. At Clash of the Castle, I'm going to tear you apart and tear those titles from you. He says, this is a unique opportunity. You're in the building. You don't have the Usos. I feel like fighting in Montreal, so they start brawling. Drew hits Roman with one of those overhead belly-to-bellies. He's looking for a Claymore. Sammy runs to the ring, pushes Roman out of the way, and eats it. So then Roman hits Drew with a Superman punch. He's setting up for a spear. However, Drew counters with the Claymore, grabs both the titles, and holds them up.
He looks great with those titles, but
yeah,
probably a bad move holding up those titles. They're still
they
a
ain't going
go-home,
anywhere.
but those titles are not going to leave Roman Reigns.
Nope.
But I literally can't wait to get more Roman-Sammy interaction. Do you think just him taking that one Claymore is going to be enough for Roman to keep Sammy by his side? Because he still ate another one. Roman did.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what more Sammy could have done.
I know. I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless instead of eating the Claymore, he could have hit Drew with a haluva kick.
I mean, I don't know. I guess so. But we'll find out next week. We also had an AEW Rampage. Out of all the stuff that's been going on with AEW lately, it is one thing that I really, really enjoy is just Claudio as Ring of Honor champion. It's such a joy to watch him. I thought that his promo on Friday was pretty solid. I mean, I know him and Dustin is sort of it's a foregone conclusion how that's going to go down, but it's going to be a really good match. Dustin somehow, some way, at the age of 53 or whatever, can put on just phenomenal matches still.
I know.
And
I do appreciate for a match that's going to have a weak build, they found an angle to take with it that gives us some substance. The fact that Dustin's never held the world title. Yeah. Just like Claudio, hadn't until he won the Ring of Honor title. So
Claudio absolutely fits. He seems so comfortable. He seems so happy, and it's just a joy to see him. Even when Punk and Mox had that pull apart, and Claudio comes in and just sort of lifts. There's something about him being in that faction. It's just, man, that's a powerhouse, right? That's a powerhouse faction right there. Yep. I love to see it, man. It's so good for Claudio to be in the position he's at right now.
It really is. It really is. I'll save for one match. All the in-ring action was pretty solid. It just didn't feel like there was a whole lot of competitive bouts. Least competitive bout was this Zach Clayton Hook nonsense. An absolute waste of TV time in this build they've had for it. Yeah. That's TV time they could have dedicated to people who are signed long-term to the roster. Yeah. They could have done another women's segment. They could have done... We knew this match wasn't going to be competitive. I don't know who Zach Clayton is, nor do I care. Yeah. And nothing that he did made me care anything about this match. In fact, he was talking. I was like, I don't want to hear him talk. So I pressed fast forward twice on my DVR on my computer. So I skipped ahead, 30 seconds? And by the time I skipped ahead 30 seconds, guess what was happening? He was tapping out to the Red Room. I don't know. Absolute waste of time.
I don't know what this does for it. Look, if Tony Khan sees Zach Clayton and he's like, hey, I think this guy might have what it takes to make a name for himself. Let's give him a little bit of TV time. I mean, look, I'm on board with you. I get it. I'd rather see, another women's segment or something like that. Like have Serena Deeb come out and tap somebody out real quick or something. I don't know. But yeah, Hook has his fans. I'd like to see a little bit more, but
here's the thing about Hook, though. He's been doing the same thing, beating people in a minute, 2 minutes for months now. Yeah. Put him in a story and see what he can do in a competitive match. I think at this juncture, they need to start doing that for people to still give a damn about Hook.
Well, maybe that's what they're going to do with 2.0 here, because now it looks like they're challenging Hook for that FTW title. So maybe they'll have a protracted thing with that, or maybe it'll just be one match and then it'll be done with. But yeah, he does need to be in a bit more of a feud. I thought that, for me, I thought there were two standouts on Rampage for me. It was number one, any Athena match. I'm down for it. That fucking the sell on that on the O face on the
was
Eclipse
spectacular. Yeah,
was Penelope Ford just flipped the hell over, and that was great. But Athena was just she's so damn good. She's so damn good in the ring. She really is one of the best wrestlers I see these days. And then another thing, I don't watch Dark and Elevation, so I've never seen Slim J. But as far as the Trustbusters is concerned, I don't give a shit about them. But Slim J is a pretty fun guy to watch. He
had some cool moves.
Yeah.
That corkscrew thing he did to the floor where he kind of like fell right in his tailbone and got right back up. Yeah. That was insane.
It's odd that they've only programmed Parker Boudreaux to have one move, and it's that it's the fucking thing where he just hits somebody with both of his arms like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so bad. But yeah, no, I mean, I thought those are the two standouts, which, is not really saying a whole lot, but whatever.
I mean, I thought Private Party versus Swerve in Our Glory was a fun match, but it wasn't a terribly competitive bout. The whole story there was Swerve in Our Glory hit Private Party with basically everything they had, and until Swerve hit his finisher, Private Party kicked out. Yeah,
right, yeah. I don't really remember much about that match, to be honest with you. That JML driver, something else, though. Goddamn.
Yeah, that's a cool move.
That's a good looking move right there.
We can jump into it. Then we got a little bit of news here, courtesy of PW. What do you want to talk about this now?
Yeah, what's up?
Rampage?
I have no idea what it is.
So PW Insider is reporting that, you didn't know, Road Dogg been hired to return as an executive in WWE.
Oh, okay.
Not terribly surprising. He was part of Triple H's Brain Trust in NXT.
Yeah.
He was former head writer of Smackdown. I actually watched the DX biography last
How was that?
There's a couple takes that I hadn't really either I hadn't heard or I didn't remember, and they framed the Click politicking with Vince as in, hey, they saw that what Vince was doing was passe and they wanted to push the business forward.
Yeah.
Which I mean, maybe that was the case. I haven't really heard that take before.
I could kind of I don't know if I've heard that specifically. But, I mean, you and I have always heard that was, they would just travel and talk business.
And talk shop the whole time, yeah.
And they'd get into Vince's ear. And you can kind of see, like, with Razor and HBK having that ladder match, you can kind of see that, I guess, was the situation. It's funny. I was randomly watching an episode of Nitro. It was the Nitro after Halloween Havoc. Just because I'm here at the house, I'm fucking bored. Like I can't be as productive as I want in this office, man. I need to be back at the homestead. And so I was watching that Nitro. I forgot how early Nitro went 3 hours. They went 3 hours like in mid '98. No, late. No, it was mid '97. They went 3 hours. That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
But it was great because it was like Raven, I think Saturn had like won the TV title or something off of Disco Inferno in that episode, and they were doing like those Raven vignettes, like the little filmed ones, and they're so cool. But then Scott Hall came out and he cut a promo on Zbyszko because they were building a Starcade at that point, and he had a match against Jericho. They do this stupid thing on Peacock where Jericho comes out to break the walls down. And so he gets in there. I was like, hey, I wonder if Jericho and Scott Hall got along. And sure enough, Jericho fucking hated Scott Hall. I looked up like a shoot interview. He was like, yeah, he was just a piece of shit. He was an arrogant piece of shit. And he said one day backstage, he had sort of had enough of it. And Scott Norton comes up to Jericho and says, hey, look, you need to go tell him to fuck off because otherwise he's going to keep on giving you shit. And if he tries anything, I got your back. But you need to do this. And if you don't do it, I'm going to kick your ass. And so Jericho was like, you know what? I had Scott Norton back in my play. So he went up to Scott Hall and he said, hey, what's your fucking problem? Because Scott Hall had said something like, hey, Jericho, how you getting along with this little Terry Taylor push of yours? And he's just being condescending. And so Jericho goes up to him and says, hey, I don't know what the fuck your problem's at, but if you want to fight, let's fight. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. And so Scott Hall just said, relax, man. I was just ribbing you. And he says, from that point on, he didn't bug me.
Yeah. That's funny.
I like that story. But yeah, I don't know. What were we talking about?
Oh, Rampage.
Yeah, Rampage.
Road Dogg, now Rampage. So it opened up with Claudio with a promo. Says, it's great being Ring of Honor champ, but he says, I got to be honest, because right now it feels better because I'm standing in front of one of my idols and someone who trained me, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So before he even got in the ring, he went over, said hi to Steamboat. And he says, the only thing that feels weird is I'm standing here in my street clothes. I feel way more comfortable in my ring gear defending this title. So open challenge time. I'll defend this title next week. Dustin Rhodes answers the challenge. Dustin says, you and I, Claudio, have a lot of history. He says, for 34 years, I've dreamt of holding a world title. He says, we had a lot in common before AEW. You chased the world title for a long time. Now you have it. And he says, if you accept my challenge, I'm going to bring the best. Dustin Rhodes. Claudio says, yes, we did have a lot in common. He says, every time someone comes to Dustin and tells me he should have been world champion, I know it burns. It's what keeps you going. He says, when I look in your eyes, I see the same fire that you've had for more than 30 years. And just because I'm holding this Ring of Honor title doesn't mean I've lost my fire. You're on, Dustin. And then Dustin says, I'll see you in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell
of a
good
bout.
Yeah, it's going to be a good bout. After that, we had an Ortiz and Ruby Soho interview. Ruby says, we've been chomping at the bit to get our hands on Sammy and Ty. Says, we saw what they did to those kids last week, talking about Dante Martin and
Sky Blue.
Sky Blue, yeah. He says, but try your hands with people who have been around the block. And then Ortiz just starts yelling. He says, next week, 5 minutes, 60 minutes, 3 months, 1 year. Get it. Do it. Fight. Let's do a fight now. 5 minutes right now. 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Let's go back in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we got Private Party versus Swerve in Our Glory. I mentioned earlier, it was Swerve in Our Glory hitting Private Party with all sorts of stuff. Everything save for their finish, and Private Party was kicking out of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, Swerve hits the JML driver to get the win on Mark Quinn afterwards. Keith Lee goes up to Isaiah Cassidy, fist bump. Helps Mark Quinn up, shakes his hand.
Yeah. Yeah. We need,
They've earned respect.
Private Party needs to keep on climbing that ladder, man. I think they're terrific, and they are one of those teams that they were brought in AEW, and they sort of, haven't really done. I don't think they've been given the opportunities to really get to where they need to be.
Yeah, I know. Like early on, they had that win over the Young Bucks when they had that tournament to crown the first tag champ, and it seemed like, oh, okay, they're poised to do some really awesome stuff right away. And then just kind of, they got put in Hardy Family Office, and whatever was going good for them kind of fizzled.
Dude, we've talked about how the tag ranks in AEW have really taken a shift. Now's a perfect time for Private Party because they need tag teams to be stepping up. Given FTR's doing their own thing over in Ring of Honor and everywhere else. Young Bucks are going the trios route. House of Black is going the trios route, et cetera.
Well, same with Death Triangle, too, at least
Death
for the
Triangle, best friends.
Out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're all sort of going the trios route. So now's a perfect time for Private Party. After that, we got the Factory. They're playing poker and dominoes, apparently. QT's got an interview. He says, I hope Hobbs has more good luck in store. He says, I'm calling in the dominoes, and then Hobbs walks in, dumps over the table. QT tells Hobbs to relax. Hobbs tells QT, he says, look, you were going to take care of Starks. He says, where I come from, your word is bond. QT says, hey, look, last week didn't work out as planned, but I promise you, if there's anything that's more important to me, my word is my bond. Man, Hobbs has really been killing it lately, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, now that he's on his own, like whenever he's on the mic, he just kills it there. Give me Hobbs versus Wardlow like tomorrow. Get that match.
Oh, hell
going.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Because I know they're probably going to have Starks beat Hobbs, but I kind of don't want that to happen. Like, I love Starks and everything, but like, I kind of want to see a rocket ship on strapped to Hobbs' back.
I mean, ideally, that's what would happen to both Hobbs and Starks.
Yeah.
Push the heck out of both of them. Then we got Zach Clayton versus Hook. Clayton had a promo. I didn't really care what he had to say, so I fast forward, and then Hook wins with Red Rum.
I think he talked about New Jersey.
I gathered that from like the 10 seconds I saw.
It
just seemed like he was dropping the same promo he did a couple weeks ago, and I didn't need to hear it because I knew it was going to happen.
Where we're at now, I think, where were they? Were they in Cleveland?
West Virginia.
Okay, West Virginia is not as good as
Steve. I said I didn't care what he had to say. I don't need to hear it from you either. I'm going to fast forward you.
Well, I thought, you like me, I think. So maybe
I do like you, but I still don't want to hear it from you. Anything Zach Clayton right now, don't want to hear.
Maybe our good audience wants to hear what Zach Clayton wants to hear, man.
I don't think so. I don't think they care. Right?
All right, you got their proxy, man?
Yeah, I have their proxy right now, and this time I hope it works.
Right? Yeah, man. So our huge Action Coast Wrestling update, it was supposed to be a huge announcement. And then, I got the COVID, couldn't make it. And then, so you went, you had my proxy.
I went. I had your proxy. I thought, done deal. All I had to do was sign a couple things and bang. We would own Action Coast Wrestling.
Right?
And then Joe DeSol was like, no, I need both you here. I don't know if that's like legally binding or anything, but nonetheless, like both of us had to be there. I don't know if that was the case. Anyways, I as I said earlier in our pre-show, I think even if we were both there, Joe would have found a way to get out of it.
He's kind of, he's a weasel. He's a weasel.
He wants to take advantage of every bit of leverage that he has or thinks he has.
Yeah, right.
And now he thinks that he can get some more leverage because he has us.
Well, look,
wanting to buy
here's
the
the
promotion, but
so the video,
if he can put it back up for the highest bidder.
You did what you could do, and I really appreciate you going down there and putting up with that shit with my absence there, letting him know. You told him that I had food poisoning. I was hoping that would unnerve him a little bit, thinking of diarrhea. But
I think it had the opposite effect, though.
Right, it motivated him.
Yeah, maybe if I had told him the truth, he'd be like, "Oh, that's a bummer.
What a bummer."
I mean, probably not, but you never know.
Yeah, probably reveled in it even more. But we got, what is it? October 8th?
October 8th. So that's the next ACW show. So if you watch the video, you see I talked to Magnum AD.
It's over at Friendo Club Wrestling on YouTube.
Yeah,
check that out.
And we talked it out, and so Joe DeSol previous to that had challenged Magnum AD, the champion Alpha Zoe, and Flacco Loco to a 6-man tag match. So it'll be Joe DeSol, Trip Rogers, and Johnny Butabi. So if Trip, Johnny Butabi, or Joe DeSol pins anybody on the other team, they would get a title shot at the next show. So, as I mentioned, I talked to Magnum AD about it right then and there, and he said, all right, fine, you have that match, but when we win, then Joe has to sell the company to us.
Right, yeah. So, that's where it stands right now.
Yes.
Anyways, getting back to Rampage, we had a 2.0 promo after the Red Rum tap out from Zach Clayton. Daddy Magic says, hell of a victory for you, Hook, but it rubs me the wrong way. Looks like you want a taste. And then Parker says, hey, that FTW title is rich in wrestling history, but what if it was held by a sports entertainer? Yep. So that match is going to happen.
Yeah, it is. Then we got a Billy Gunn interview. He says, it seems like the ass boys put their big boy pants on. Problem is they put them on at the wrong time and with the wrong person. Call down the thunder by putting their hands on me. This opened the door for me to spank their asses. Next week on Dynamite, I'm bringing some friends, and the Acclaim step in.
They do the thing.
They do the thing.
After that, we had Buddy Matthews versus Serpentico. Buddy pretty much dominates this, wins with his awesome finish. And then Miro shows up. He walks to the ramp holding Malachi's mask. He throws it down. Buddy runs up the ramp. They brawl. Miro throws Buddy into the ring steps, puts him in the ring. Julia steps up to Miro. He just sort of like grunts at her. Miro gets in the ring, drops Buddy with a clothesline, hits a bunch of strikes in the corner, and then he asks Buddy, where are the pagans? Got to redeem them all. And then he hits him with a Mashka kick.
So much.
Yeah, he's pretty. It's good stuff right there. It's good stuff.
Then we had a Britt Baker interview, but they tell Lexi they're leaving because they just found out they're not going to be on the pay-per-view. And then Lexi says, well, none of you are number one contenders. That's why. And Rebel's like, you get out of here. She takes the mic. Britt says if they're not in the title match, there's nothing she'd rather watch than the shitstorm that is Thunderstorm, because there's not a more toxic tag team in pro wrestling. And she says, Thunder Rosa, lightning can't strike twice, and you can't beat Tony again. And she says, Tony, what's your deal? You lost, Thunder Rosa. Then you buddied up with her and joined up to start a tag team. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah. She's got the fans' proxy. Make it make sense. After that, we have Penelope Ford versus Athena. Go out of your way to watch this match or any Athena match because she's terrific.
She is terrific.
She got the win here with the Eclipse, a.k.a. the O-Face. Afterwards, Kara Hogan and Layla Gray, the baddies, attack Athena. Jade and Stokely walk to the ramp. She grabs a sledgehammer. She takes it to Athena's wings. Those are homemade. Those are DIY, man.
Yeah.
They honestly, it didn't really look like they got busted up too much, though. Like, she started slamming those things, but those things were not really breaking. So Jade walks to the ring. Athena takes out the baddies. Jade hits Athena in the gut with the sledgehammer. There's still a go home, but man, I don't know. They're starting to make me believe that Athena could have a shot at Jade's title here, man.
So there's 2 Dynamites and 2 Rampages before All Out.
Well, this shit's going to take place on Rampage. Like, in terms of the build, they're not going to put Jade and Athena on Dynamite.
No, I'm saying that match will hopefully be at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, so there's two more episodes of Rampage where they can continue to build this. I don't know. What's your take on it? You believe it when you see it? You still think this is Jade's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really feel like, I could be wrong, that Jade, she's going to have both those titles. It's just what my gut's telling me. We had a couple video packages next. First, Mox Punk. Of course, they got their title unification bout on Dynamite. Then we also got a Hobbs Ricky Starks video package. Ricky Starks, he's got a few things to say, and he's going to say them on Dynamite.
Yeah, man. Got a lot of problems with you people. And then we had a Trustbusters Best Friends interview in advance of their match. Ari says tonight's match is going to be a walk in the park. We're going to be one step closer to being Trios champ. And then Chuck says the Trustbusters want to come down and kick Orange in his dick. Last time in Charleston, we had a Trios match and we won. And then Trent says, yeah, those belts are made for us. And then Mark Henry started to do his line, and Orange Cassidy's like, wait, no, I'm going to do this line. That's mine. And then Mark's like, no, it's my line, man. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Then we had this match. Like I said before, trying to take a positive route. I thought a lot of the Slim J stuff was a lot of fun. Daivari's a pretty damn good wrestler himself. It's just hard to take Parker Boudreaux seriously, man.
I know.
When he kind of just he hits the same button. He just hits that O button over and over again.
He just smashes that one button.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was a fun bout, and Best Friends got the win. I guess this is a move that they used to do in Shikara, I saw.
Oh, okay. There you go. That was pretty fun. That was pretty cool. So like they hold up their opponent, Chuck and Trent do, and then Orange Cassidy sort of stands on their shoulders, and then he sort of leaps off and he does a splash as they sort of drop the guy. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And then that was the end of Rampage. We got a Raw tonight. Got 3 segments announced. First, Edge to battle Damian Priest.
Damian Priest, the punishment.
In Edge's first match in his hometown of Toronto in over a decade.
Oh man, Edge is gonna win that one.
Oh yes.
This is cool. Trish Stratus is gonna come back to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that is cool.
Of course, she's from like the area, I think, too.
Yeah, she's from the Toronto area, I believe. And then Alexa Bliss and Asuka beat Dakota Kai and Io Sky in the semifinals of the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament.
There you go. All right, good stuff. We are going to answer some questions over at the Friendo Club YouTube channel, so go check that out as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.